Welcome to Book Summary 101, the channel where we bring you clear, simple, and practical summaries of the world's greatest books. Today's summary is from Master Your Time by Thibaut Meurisse. Time is one of those things that every human being receives in equal measure. Every day, each of us gets 24 hours. No one has more and no one has less. But if time is given equally to all of us, then why do some people accomplish great things while others feel constantly stuck and behind? The difference lies not in the amount of time, but in how it is used. Thibaut Meurisse, in his book, Master Your Time, explains that managing time is really about managing yourself, your focus, your energy, your habits, and your choices. When you learn to master these things, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. The first thing the author emphasizes is that time is life itself. When you spend 1 hour, you are spending 1 hour of your life that you can never get back. Money can be earned again, opportunities can come again, but time once lost is gone forever. This truth may sound simple, but many people forget it. They behave as though their time is unlimited, wasting hours on distractions, procrastination, and activities that do not matter. But if you realize that time is the raw material of life, you will become more careful with how you spend it. Imagine you were given a bank account where every morning exactly $86,400 were deposited. You could use that money however you wanted, but at midnight, whatever you didn't use would disappear. You would never get it back. That's exactly how time works. Every day you are given 86,400 seconds. You can spend them wisely or you can waste them, but they will not roll over into the next day. Once they are gone, they are gone. Understanding this is the first step toward mastering your time. The author then invites us to think about the difference between being busy and being productive. Many people confuse the two. They feel that if they are always rushing, always doing something, then they must be productive. But that is not true. A person can spend an entire day answering emails, attending unimportant meetings, cleaning their desk, and still achieve nothing meaningful. On the other hand, someone else may work for just 2 focused hours on their most important task and create something valuable. Productivity is not about how much you do, but about what you do. To illustrate this, think about 2 students preparing for an exam. The first student studies for 8 hours, but he spends most of that time highlighting notes, rereading chapters he already understands, and chatting with friends in between. The second student studies for only 3 hours, but she focuses on the toughest topics, practices past questions, and reviews key formulas. When the exam comes, the second student performs much better. Why? Because she focused on what really mattered. That's the essence of mastering your time, choosing carefully what to give your attention to. Another key idea from the book is clarity. Without clarity, your time will always slip away. Imagine sailing a boat without a destination. You may move fast, but you will end up drifting aimlessly. In life, clarity is your destination. The author suggests taking time to reflect on what truly matters to you. What are your top 3 priorities? What kind of life do you want to build? Once you know this, it becomes much easier to say no to distractions because you can clearly see what does not fit with your goals. For example, if one of your priorities is health, then saying yes to late-night fast food with friends becomes harder because you realize it goes against your larger vision. If one of your priorities is financial independence, then spending hours binge-watching television every evening feels like a poor use of your limited time. When you have clarity, you stop drifting and start choosing intentionally. Thibaut Meurisse also talks about the power of the Pareto principle, also called the 80-20 rule. This principle says that in many situations, 80% of the results come from just 20% of the effort. In business, it might mean that 80% of profits come from 20% of customers. In learning, it might mean that 80% of knowledge comes from mastering 20% of concepts. The point is that not all activities are equal in value. Some matter much more than others. If you want to master your time, you must identify which 20% of your activities give you the most meaningful results and focus on them. For instance, if you are trying to get fit, then lifting weights and eating healthy meals may produce 80% of the results, while worrying about the exact brand of workout clothes adds almost no value. If you are building a business, then finding customers and improving your product may be the key 20%, while endlessly designing your website layout may not matter much. Once you learn to see this clearly, you stop wasting energy on the trivial and invest more in what truly matters. Another practical lesson from the book is about setting daily priorities. Many people make long to-do lists with 20 or 30 items. But at the end of the day, even after working hard, they feel guilty because many tasks are still unfinished. The problem with long lists is that they create an illusion of productivity while overwhelming your mind. Instead, the author recommends a simple approach. Every day, choose the 3 most important tasks. These are the tasks that will have the biggest impact on your life and goals. Focus on completing them before doing anything else. Even if you accomplish nothing else that day, you will still have moved forward in a meaningful way. Learning to say no is another crucial skill. Most people overcommit because they don't want to disappoint others. But every time you say yes to something unimportant, you are saying no to something important. Time is finite. If you spend it on someone else's priorities, you won't have enough left for your own. Saying no doesn't mean you are rude or selfish. It means you are respecting your own time. You can say no politely by thanking the person and explaining that you are focusing on other priorities. With practice, it becomes easier and you gain back hours that would otherwise have been wasted. The book also points out the danger of distractions. Our modern world is full of them: social media, constant notifications, endless entertainment. Studies show that every time you get distracted, it can take more than 20 minutes to fully refocus. This means that if you check your phone every few minutes while working, you may never reach a deep level of concentration. To master your time, you must master your attention. One way to do this is to design your environment so that distractions are removed. Keep your phone in another room when working. Use apps that block websites that waste your time, or create a workspace where nothing tempts you away from the task. The author reminds us that time management is not just about scheduling tasks. It's also about managing energy. Even if you have plenty of time, if you are tired and unfocused, you won't use it well. That's why sleep, exercise, and nutrition are critical. Think of your body as the engine that powers your productivity. If the engine is weak, you won't go far. But if you take care of your energy, then you can use your time with strength and focus. For example, imagine 2 professionals. One sleeps only 5 hours a night, eats fast food, and rarely exercises. The other sleeps well, eats balanced meals, and works out regularly. Both have the same time, but the second accomplishes much more because his energy and focus are stronger. This shows that energy and time are deeply connected. Another useful technique is evening planning. At the end of each day, spend 5 minutes writing down your 3 most important tasks for tomorrow. This small habit helps you wake up with clarity and direction instead of wasting your morning deciding what to do. Over time, this simple ritual can dramatically increase your productivity. Finally, the author warns us against perfectionism. Many people waste huge amounts of time trying to make everything perfect. They rewrite the same email 10 times, polish a presentation endlessly, or delay launching a project until it feels flawless. But perfection is an illusion. Striving for excellence is good, but waiting for perfection only creates procrastination. It's better to take action, learn from feedback, and improve gradually. Done is better than perfect. This first part of the book summary shows us the foundations of mastering time, realizing its true value, focusing on productivity over busyness, finding clarity, applying the 80-20 rule, setting priorities, saying no, managing energy, avoiding distractions, and not letting perfectionism slow us down. With these principles, we begin to see that time mastery is not about having more hours, but about living with more intention. When we begin to understand that time is life itself, and that managing time is about making better choices, the next step is to look at how we structure our days. Thibaut Meurisse explains that without structure, time slips away unnoticed. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and before you know it, years have passed without progress. To prevent this, you need systems that guide your actions and protect your focus. One of the most powerful systems is creating morning and evening routines. The way you begin and end your day has a huge effect on how productive and peaceful you feel. A chaotic morning often leads to a chaotic day, while a focused morning creates momentum. The author suggests building a morning routine that centers your mind, energizes your body, and sets clear intentions. This could include meditation, journaling, exercise, or simply reviewing your top priorities for the day. The key is consistency. By repeating the same routine, you train your mind and body to enter a productive state every morning. An evening routine is just as important. Too often, people end their days scrolling endlessly on their phones or watching television until late at night. This not only destroys sleep quality, but also leaves the mind restless. A better evening routine might include writing down tomorrow's top 3 tasks, reflecting on what went well today, reading something uplifting, and going to bed at a consistent time. Over time, these simple habits make your days more intentional and your life more organized. Another lesson from the book is the concept of deep work. In our distracted world, very few people spend time in deep, focused concentration. Most work is shallow, answering emails, chatting, attending quick meetings, or multitasking. Deep work, however, is when you focus on one meaningful task without distraction for an extended period. This is where real value is created, whether you are writing, coding, designing, studying, or solving complex problems. Deep work requires both discipline and environment. You cannot expect to do deep work while keeping your phone beside you, checking notifications every few minutes. You must deliberately create blocks of time when you are unreachable and fully focused. Even 1 or 2 hours of deep work per day can produce extraordinary results. Think of famous authors, scientists, or inventors. They did not achieve greatness by multitasking, but by spending long hours in deep concentration. To help you enter deep work, the author recommends using techniques such as the Pomodoro method, where you work in focused 25-minute blocks, followed by short breaks. This trains your brain to stay engaged without burning out. Another approach is time blocking, where you schedule specific hours of the day for specific tasks. By assigning a time slot to your most important work, you protect it from being consumed by smaller, less important activities. A major enemy of deep work is multitasking. Many people believe they are being efficient when they juggle multiple things at once, but research shows the opposite. Multitasking actually reduces productivity, lowers focus, and increases stress. Each time you switch tasks, your brain wastes energy adjusting. It is far better to do one thing with full attention, finish it, and then move on to the next. The author urges us to abandon the illusion of multitasking and embrace single-tasking as a path to mastery. Another idea that Thibaut Meurisse shares is the importance of aligning your tasks with your peak energy levels. Not all hours of the day are equal. For some people, mornings are when their mind is sharpest. For others, creativity flows best in the evening. By paying attention to your natural rhythms, you can schedule your most demanding tasks for the hours when you feel strongest and leave easier tasks for when your energy dips. For example, if you know that your focus is highest in the morning, use that time for deep work, not for checking emails or casual browsing. The author also highlights the role of habits in mastering your time. Habits are powerful because once established, they run automatically, requiring little mental effort. If you build productive habits, like exercising daily, reading regularly, or working on your goals at a set time, then much of your productivity happens on autopilot. You no longer need to use willpower every day to decide what to do. The habit does it for you. On the other hand, if you have unproductive habits, like procrastinating, oversleeping, or constantly checking social media, then you will waste time automatically. The key is to replace harmful habits with beneficial ones. Building a new habit requires patience. The author explains that it often takes weeks of consistent repetition before a behavior becomes automatic. To succeed, start small. For example, if your goal is to read more, commit to just 10 minutes per day instead of 1 hour. Once the small habit is established, you can expand it. Small, consistent actions create big long-term results. Let's take an example. Imagine someone who wants to write a book but feels overwhelmed by the size of the project. If they try to write for 2 hours every day, they may give up after a week. But if they commit to writing just 1 page a day, the task feels manageable. Over a year, those small daily pages add up to a full book. This shows how habits, even small ones, compound over time to create significant achievements. The book also encourages us to examine the role of procrastination. Almost everyone struggles with it, but procrastination is not just laziness. It is usually avoidance of discomfort. We procrastinate because a task feels boring, difficult, or overwhelming. The solution is not to wait for motivation, but to take action despite discomfort. One useful method is the 5-minute rule. Tell yourself you will work on a task for just 5 minutes. Once you start, momentum often carries you forward, and you end up working much longer. The hardest part is usually starting. Another tool to fight procrastination is breaking tasks into smaller steps. When a project feels too big, your mind feels paralyzed. But if you break it down into tiny, clear actions, it becomes easier. For instance, instead of saying, "Write a report," you can say, "Open the document and write the first paragraph." Each small step feels achievable, and progress builds motivation. The author also speaks about the importance of reviewing your progress regularly. Many people set goals but never look back to see whether they are moving in the right direction. Without review, you can waste weeks or months on the wrong path. By taking time weekly to reflect, you can adjust your actions, celebrate progress, and identify what is slowing you down. This practice ensures that your daily efforts remain connected to your larger vision. Another idea in the book is the concept of leverage. Time is limited, but when you learn to leverage resources, your results multiply. For example, delegating tasks to others frees up your hours for more valuable work. Automating repetitive tasks using tools or software saves time. Learning skills that improve your efficiency also creates leverage. If you invest time in learning to type faster or in mastering a new software tool, you save countless hours in the long run. The key is to constantly look for ways to get more results from the same amount of time. To illustrate leverage, imagine two entrepreneurs. The first does everything himself. He answers customer emails, designs graphics, handles finances, and markets his product. The second entrepreneur delegates some tasks to freelancers, automates billing with software, and focuses his personal time on improving the product and growing the business. After a year, the second entrepreneur has achieved far more, not because he worked harder, but because he used leverage to multiply his time. The book also stresses the need for boundaries. In today's world, people are always connected, always available, and often overwhelmed. Without boundaries, others will fill your schedule with their priorities. To protect your time, you must set limits, whether it's specific hours for work, rules for phone use, or limits on social media. For example, you might decide to check email only twice a day instead of every few minutes. These boundaries are not restrictions. They are freedoms. They free your time and energy for what truly matters. Another important concept is the difference between urgent tasks and important tasks. Urgent tasks scream for attention. They are deadlines, phone calls, last-minute requests. Important tasks, on the other hand, are often quiet but deeply valuable. They are the things that create long-term results, like building relationships, improving skills, or working on personal projects. Many people spend their lives chasing urgent tasks and never make time for important ones. To master your time, you must learn to prioritize importance over urgency. A useful question to ask is, will this task matter a year from now? If the answer is no, it may not deserve your focus today. The author also invites us to consider minimalism in how we use time. Just as people can clutter their homes with too many possessions, they can clutter their schedules with too many commitments. Simplifying your life by removing unnecessary obligations gives you more space to focus on what matters. For example, do you really need to attend every meeting, watch every show, or respond instantly to every message? Often the answer is no. By cutting away the excess, you gain more time for meaningful pursuits. This part of the book is filled with practical strategies, but at its core is a simple message. Time mastery is not about cramming more activities into your day. It is about being intentional, choosing the right activities, building supportive habits, and protecting your focus. When you live this way, you no longer feel that time is slipping away. Instead, you feel that you are using each hour to build a life that reflects your values and goals. When we reach the final part of Master Your Time by Thibaut Meurisse, the lessons turn from individual strategies toward building a lifestyle that respects time and uses it wisely. Up until now, we have seen how clarity, habits, focus, and routines give us structure. But the deeper goal of time mastery is not simply to check tasks off a list. It is to live a life that feels meaningful, fulfilling, and aligned with who you truly are. The author emphasizes that time management should not be treated as a race to squeeze as much work as possible into each day. Instead, it should be about balance. Life is not only about productivity, but also about rest, relationships, joy, and personal growth. People who focus only on efficiency may end up successful on paper, but deeply unhappy inside. That is why true mastery of time means balancing achievement with well-being. One way to create this balance is by practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness is simply the practice of being fully present in the moment, without rushing or being distracted. Many people spend their days worrying about the future or regretting the past, and as a result, they miss the present moment. But the present moment is where life actually happens. When you eat, truly taste the food. When you talk with a loved one, give them your full attention. When you work, immerse yourself completely in the task. Living mindfully transforms time from something to escape into something to experience deeply. Another important idea is the power of simplicity. The modern world constantly encourages us to do more, have more, and chase more. But more is not always better. In fact, more often creates overwhelm. Thibaut Meurisse suggests that mastering your time often means subtracting, not adding. This could mean cutting down on possessions that require constant care, reducing commitments that drain your energy, or simplifying your goals so you can focus on what truly matters. Simplicity creates freedom, and freedom allows you to spend your time wisely. Let's imagine two people, Emma and John. Emma's life is cluttered with commitments. She is part of 5 committees, volunteers for multiple projects, attends every social event, and tries to keep up with every new gadget and trend. She is always rushing, always late, and always exhausted. John, on the other hand, has chosen a simpler life. He focuses on a few meaningful commitments, says no to most distractions, and keeps his schedule light. He may seem less busy, but he is far more fulfilled. He spends his time with family, invests in personal growth, and enjoys hobbies that bring peace. John's life demonstrates the wisdom of simplicity. The author also talks about the trap of comparison. Many people waste their precious hours comparing their lives to others, whether on social media, at work, or in their social circles. This habit steals both time and joy. Instead of focusing on their own progress, they constantly measure themselves against others. But comparison is endless. No matter what you achieve, there will always be someone richer, smarter, or more successful. To master your time, you must free yourself from this trap. Focus on your own journey, your own values, and your own growth. That is where true satisfaction lies. Another theme of the book is the connection between time and purpose. If you do not have a sense of purpose, you may fill your days with activity but still feel empty. Purpose gives meaning to time. It is the bigger reason behind your actions. For one person, purpose might be raising a loving family. For another, it might be creating art, building a business, helping others, or spreading knowledge. Whatever your purpose is, aligning your daily activities with it makes time feel rich and valuable. Without purpose, even free time can feel meaningless. With purpose, even hard work feels rewarding. The book reminds us that goals are an important tool for using time effectively, but goals must be specific and realistic. Vague goals like get healthier or be successful are hard to act on. Specific goals like exercise 3 times a week or save $500 a month give you clear direction. Even more powerful is to break long-term goals into short-term milestones. For example, if your goal is to learn a new language in a year, you can aim to learn 50 new words each week. These small milestones keep you motivated and make the larger goal feel achievable. Another powerful practice is visualizing your ideal future. The author suggests taking time regularly to imagine what your life would look like if you fully mastered your time and achieved your vision. Where would you live? How would you spend your days? Who would you be surrounded by? Visualization creates emotional motivation, which is stronger than willpower alone. When you can clearly see the benefits of mastering your time, you feel more inspired to follow through on good habits and routines. Of course, no system is perfect. Life is unpredictable. There will be days when things go wrong, when emergencies arise, when plans collapse. The author encourages us to accept this reality with flexibility instead of frustration. Time mastery is not about controlling every minute, but about staying focused on what matters most, even when life gets messy. If a day is lost, don't give up. Start again the next day. Consistency matters more than perfection. The book also highlights the value of gratitude. Often, people waste time by constantly chasing the next achievement, believing happiness lies in the future. But happiness can only be experienced now. Practicing gratitude, taking a moment each day to reflect on what you already have, shifts your focus from lack to abundance. When you are grateful, even ordinary moments feel rich. Gratitude also reduces stress, improves relationships, and makes you less likely to waste time on unimportant pursuits. Another practical lesson is the importance of rest and renewal. Many people think that working non-stop is the best way to succeed, but the human body and mind need recovery. Without rest, productivity declines, creativity fades, and burnout follows. Scheduling regular breaks, taking time for hobbies, spending time in nature, and ensuring proper sleep are not luxuries. They are essentials. Think of it like sharpening a saw. If you keep cutting wood with a dull saw, you will struggle. But if you pause to sharpen it, you will cut faster and easier. Rest sharpens your mind and body, so you can use time effectively. The author also encourages us to focus on relationships. At the end of life, people rarely say, "I wish I had worked more hours." Instead, they often regret not spending enough time with loved ones. Relationships bring joy, meaning, and support. But in the rush of daily tasks, many people neglect them. Mastering your time means making space for meaningful connections with family, friends, mentors, and even yourself. Scheduling time for relationships is not wasted time. It is some of the best use of time. The final chapters of the book remind us that mastery of time is really mastery of life. Every choice we make about how to spend an hour is a choice about what kind of life we are creating. If you spend your hours on distractions, your life becomes a collection of distractions. If you spend your hours on growth, service, creativity, and love, your life becomes meaningful. Let's take a final example. Imagine two people looking back at their lives. The first spent decades reacting to others' demands, working on tasks that did not matter, and filling free time with distractions. He feels regret because time slipped away without direction. The second person lived with intention. She set priorities, built habits, managed her energy, and aligned her daily actions with her values. Looking back, she feels peace and satisfaction because her hours created a meaningful story. Both had the same 24 hours each day, but their choices shaped very different lives. Time mastery, therefore, is not about perfection. It is about awareness, intention, and small, consistent actions. Every day is a new chance to use time wisely. As Thibaut Meurisse teaches, when you master your time, you take control of your life itself. Thank you for listening to this summary of Master Your Time by Thibaut Meurisse. If you found it valuable, please subscribe to Book Summary 101 and press the bell icon so you never miss our future summaries. This channel is made for book lovers who want to keep learning and growing every day. And before you go, let us know in the comments which book you would like us to summarize next. We'd love to hear your suggestions.